Thank you, Nicholas, and good morning, everyone. For those of you that are looking for something a little bit different today, I think we have 3 unique projects that may be of interest to you. Usual disclaimer. Start off with the corporate overview. So we have 440 million shares on offer, market cap just over 39 million. Current share price is around 9 cents. We have just over 3.2 million in the bank, and we have just under 2 million in liquid assets as well. 44% makes up our top 20 shareholders, with the board owning around 16%. Our non-executive chairman is Neil Biddle, who you all may know as one of the founding directors of Pilbara Minerals. And then you have myself, who has over 25 years of oil and gas and energy experience, and Elias Carew, who has a vast experience in raising capital. And then our company secretary and CFO is made up with by Vince and Kurt. So the 3 unique projects we have the Alpha Torbanite project, with our aim to be Australia's only end-to-end bitumen producer. Then we have our high-grade helium, hydrogen and natural gas project as well in the Northern Territory. And then in Queensland, we also have our geothermal for the opportunity to provide 24/7 baseload renewable energy. Starting with the Alpha Torbanite project, the project itself is located around 60 kilometres from the township of Alpha, which is about a 2-hour drive from Emerald. We have probably the only commercial deposit of torbanite in Australia. There's another deposit in Tasmania, but it's not the size of ours. And we could probably have the only commercial size of torbanite in the world, possibly. Our aim is to become Australia's own end-to-end producer of bitumen. Torbanite and cannel coal, which our deposit is made up of, is our oil shales. And once they're processed, they become a heavier oil, which contains asphaltenes, which what bitumen is made up of. Now, also, as part of our strategy, we're looking to carbon offset this project with our geothermal project, so we'll be carbon neutral, so we can be using green bitumen. And he also gives us the opportunity to replace some of the existing imports that come in, because at the moment, nearly all of Australia's needs regarding bitumen is imported from overseas. So last year we updated our inferred mineral resource estimate to 28 million tonnes from the existing 18.6 million. That's an equivalent of 27.7 million barrels equivalent of synthetic oil. As mentioned before, torbanite as an oil shale is probably the most highest yielding oil shale out there. So 698 litres of hydrocarbons per tonne of torbanite, which is extremely high, which making it such a high grade and high value. Now, a part of our testing program for this project, we're using liquefaction. Liquefaction is basically you take a reactor, you put your product in it, you add hydrogen as a pressure, and you mix it with a carrier oil, and then you blend it up and slowly heat it up to about 400 degrees. Then you separate your carrier oil, and then you're left with your end product. So it's a pretty simple product. What we like about it is it's a lot more carbon friendly. So when you usually do oil shale, you use pyrolysis, and pyrolysis produces a lot of emissions. What liquefaction does, it really limits the amount of emissions produced. We've gone through 3 testing regimes already. We're now well into test program 4. Test program 3 was run by the University of Jordan, or oil shale experts, and they went from test program 2 to 3 with a 72% increase in the conversion of solids to oil and gas. In test program 4, we have the Monash University down in Melbourne. They're running a 16 test program for us. They've completed 14 of those to date, and will be completing the remaining 2 over the next few weeks. The next step for them will to be produce a bulk sample for us, which we will then send over to New Zealand, to Technique. Technique are a bitumen expert, and what they'll do is they'll verify and certify our product for us. We also engage Licella down in New South Wales. They're a liquefaction expert. They did supercritical water testing for us, and we got huge benefits from that, which we passed on to Monash for learning. Now, with Technique, what we've done is we sent 2 bulk samples over to there. The first bulk sample was made up of toluene as a carrier. The idea that we used toluene was it's easy to clean off, and it would give us our first indication of what potential product we will have. The second bulk sample is what we will most likely move forward in the process path, and that was with a carrier oil. So the first results from the bulk sample from Technique we released over Christmas, and it gave us that we have a product that is close to class 600 bitumen. We can sell it as a binding product, or we can send it as an end product if we want to blend it ourselves. Class 600 bitumen is one of the hardest types of bitumen you can produce. There's different levels, C170, C320, but C600 is great for motorways and anything that's going to have heavy goods vehicles going across it. So very good for use in Australia. All this will underpin our our pre-feasibility study as well. So, coming news, test program 4, as mentioned with Monash, the 16 test program is wrapping up, so we'll have those results out to the market soon, and then we'll have the bulk samples sent over to Technique, and then we'll have those results out. Customer engagement, so the end use product users, we've started engagement with them now, and over the coming weeks we'll be talking to them about off-take agreements or some kind of commercial deals. And then hopefully the pre-feasibility study out not much longer than that. We've got a really good team built up on this project. Procom, who are probably Australia's leading oil shale experts, have been running our test programs for us. Monash University, I'm sure you all know, highly prestigious. And then Licella, as I said before, are probably the leading liquefaction company in Australia as well. And then Technique, who are one of the biggest bitumen companies over in New Zealand as well. So a bit about the bitumen market. At the moment, Australia imports nearly all of its bitumen from overseas. So it comes over here, big oil tankers, heated up 240 degrees. So we're heavily reliant on those imports from China, Korea, Singapore and Thailand. So it would give us a great opportunity not to be so reliant on those countries. Now, the demand from bitumen is at the moment over 1 million tonnes a year, and we're seeing that steadily increase. And the last federal budget, it was announced that they were going to increase the expenditure again on road upgrades. I think it was around $5 billion. And then with the Brisbane Olympics coming up in 2032, there's going to be a lot more infrastructure spending as well. So again, we see the demand from bitumen going up and up. Pricing-wise, C170 is the most commonly priced that comes out to the market every single month. So C170 pricing is very similar to C600 pricing. And what we're seeing is there is a steady increase on that as well. So at the moment, last month, it was $1,589 per tonne. So you can see it's a very high-value product as well. And I hate to say this, but uncertainty around the world at the moment. We're going to probably see oil price start to move up again, and off that the prices of bitumen will start moving up again. Our West Walker project, which is in the Northern Territory, Greenvale enters into a farming agreement with Mosman Oil and Gas to acquire 75% interest in EP 145. Part of that agreement is we will pay for the 2D seismic, and we will also pay for the first drill as well. The Amadeus Basin has some of the highest concentrations of helium globally, and is also has confirmed hydrogen plays as well. So EP 145 sits right in the middle of those plays. We already have the Marini oil and gas field out there who are producing oil and gas and also producing helium as well. And what we've previously seen out there is Santos with the Mount Kitty and the McGee wells, high volumes. So to give you an idea, Mount Kitty produced around 9% helium and 12% hydrogen, and McGee produces around 6% helium. Now, to put that into context, the US, which is the biggest market for helium, anything above 0.5% is considered commercial. So when you're seeing numbers like 9 and 6%, this is world-class globally of what we've got, and we're sitting right in there. Now, what there is out there as well is a lot of existing infrastructure, so that means we'll have early access to the market as well. So Mosman Oil and Gas reported a prospective resource estimate for EP145 back in October 2020. That was a best estimate, and that gave 440 BCF, billion cubic feet, of total gases. And then we had 26.4 BCF of helium and 26.4 of hydrogen as well. Prices around helium at the moment, and I'll touch on it a little bit more in a minute, are continuously to rise. So at the moment, it's done in US. So it's US around about 450 per 1,000 cubic feet. So that's a lot of money. And what we're seeing is, again, a lot of opportunities coming up in the hydrogen space. And again, natural gas still has a big play in Australia. So the next steps for us is to commence the 2D seismic. We have submitted our environmental management plan to the Northern Territory Government. We're expecting that to come back approved early April, and then we'll get straight out in the field. It'll take about 3 months to do the 2D seismic work, and then hopefully around August we'll have the information we require to identify a sweet spot, a freeway play where we can drill down, hopefully not too deep, and find helium, hydrogen and natural gas. Helium and hydrogen are very light gases, so what you need to look for is somewhere where it's captured, so a sandstone bed or something where it keeps it in so it stops it seeping out. So helium pricing is at the moment continuously to rise year on year. As mentioned before, if you're looking at $450 for a long-term contract. If you're spot pricing, you're looking around $900, and if you want to then process it and make liquid helium, then you're probably looking at about 2-3 times that, even more. So the helium market at the moment sits around about $5 billion US, and it's going to go up year on year, and by 2030 it's most likely to be about an $8 billion industry. When most people think of helium, they think of helium balloons. That's not what we're using it for. MRI machines, one of them usually holds around 2,000 litres of helium. Semiconductors, welding, aerospace, all those industries, optical fibre, all use helium. And what we're seeing is year on year an increase on the demand for helium. But what we're also seeing is a supply shortage. So over the last few years, a number of sites have shut down, and we're seeing less and less helium sites. So again, helium, demand for it at the moment around 6 BCF a year. We see that going up to about 10 BCF. Helium cannot be manufactured. You have to produce it, you have to find it naturally. Hydrogen, we've got gold hydrogen. Why is it gold? Because it's natural. So we're not producing it like you're manufacturing it, so we don't have to use a renewable energy source or a fossil fuel source to produce hydrogen. The hydrogen market is only just evolving, so we're going to really see that develop over the next few years. And then natural gas, again, is going to continue to play a big part in supplying power from Australia. Now, quickly, our geothermal opportunities. We have, our aim is to produce 24/7 baseload power. Now, we have 4 EPGs out in the market, long reach, but the one we're most excited about is the Millingara Basin, where we have 3 applications, Julia Creek, Lara Downs and Hauchi. Julia Creek is fantastic because we got the government copper string transmission line running straight through it. So we'll be able to not only supply power to local mine sites, we'll also be able to tap into the high voltage power line and supply power onto the grid as well. So it gives us a great opportunity. I'm going to have to rush now because I'm running out of time. So why Greenvale? We've got some great projects. Australia's only bitumen producer. We've got the high-value helium hydrogen projects and natural gas. And then with our geothermal, 24/7 baseload renewable energy power as well. So thank you, everyone. And if you want to come talk to me, I'm just next door on the booth. Thank you very much.